In the complexity of life, consciousness has often been considered as an emergent property of the biological mind and produced by the intricate workings of it. But what if consciousness was not a byproduct of evolution, but instead a fundamental force that is intertwined with it, a force that has always been there and has only waited for the evolution of biological structures that could express its potential? In this chapter, we explore the idea that consciousness was always stochastic and locked within the biological constraints. It was only through the evolution of complex organisms that the stagnant power was unleashed. The basic particles that created stars and galaxies are the same used in our biological system, and these have brought about our bodies from the elements of this three-dimensional world, from single cells to complex evolution. Approximately 3.8 billion years ago, the first single-celled life forms, bacteria, appeared in the ocean. Life was dominated by the oceans, and the continents were still in the process of their formation and movement based on tectonic activity. The development of life in the waters was a slow and sophisticated process, which took millions of years to develop. These simple organisms lived in the rich, nutrient environment and gave rise to more complex multicellular forms. The oceans offered such a stable environment that these organisms had to develop new traits and adaptations. At the same time as these single-celled organisms evolved and replicated in the oceans for years and years, the land was also taking shape by huge geological and environmental changes. The Earth's crust was constantly being shifted by plate tectonics into the formation and breakup of continents and mountain ranges. Volcanic activity was a contributor to the creation of new land and the enhancement of the soil with minerals. As the land environment stabilized, it became suitable for the first simple plants and fungi to colonize, building the foundation for more complex ecosystems in the future. There are countless scientific books and resources that can be turned to for learning about the historical aspects of this era. However, it is not my intention to provide a comprehensive historical view, but rather to focus on how biology evolved and increased in its complexity. Now let's fast forward to approximately 500 million years ago. At that time, there was a major shift in the Earth's life forms with the Cambrian explosion, which led to a tremendous diversification of life forms. This period saw the appearance of sophisticated organisms with specialized structures that provided the foundation for the complex web of life that would continue to evolve and grow in complexity over millions of years. Beyond just the basics of life and propagation of genes, the evolutionary process of organisms is driven by many other factors that interweave the pattern of evolutionary history. In this complex web, cellular communities are not only responding to the selective pressures, but also to the various chemical signals, symbiotic relationships, and cooperative networks that impact their fitness in complex ways. As the environments change and resources become available and scarce, the feedback loops between the genetic blueprint of an organism and its niche are slowly becoming more complex and producing a great variety of types and roles. This makes it evident that the notion of evolution as a cooperative and dynamic process is multi-layered and context-oriented, and therefore goes beyond the simplistic notion of competition and the infamous phrase, survival of the fittest. As explained in Chapter 1, Earth's position within the Milky Way is a key factor in its environmental processes, which in turn may affect its biological development. We are not sure exactly where we were 500 million years ago, but we know where we were generally. We do not fully understand the impact of our movement and distance from the galactic center on our environmental and biological changes owing to the dynamic nature of the evolution of the galaxy. However, they are contributing factors to the complex interconnections between the galaxy and our planet. All of these elements are occurring in the three-dimensional space we navigate within to highlight how our biological processes are intertwined with the cosmic environment through which we live. The rise and fall of dinosaurs. Dinosaur age is divided into three major periods. The Triassic period is thought to have begun about 252 million years ago and lasted for about 51 million years. This was a warm environment generally, first more arid and then more humid, with the first dinosaurs evolving with other reptiles. The Jurassic period that started about 201 million years ago and ended about 56 million years ago was a lush and verdant world with conifers, cycads and ferns forests and huge herbivorous dinosaurs. The Cretaceous period, which started about 145 million years ago and ended about 66 million years ago, featured diverse environments which ranged from forests to coastal plains and which supported a great variety of dinosaur species before their extinction at the end of this period. During the age of dinosaurs, mammals were small and limited and lived on the ecological margins for the most part. When the dinosaurs died out 66 million years ago, it opened up vast new opportunities. With the large dominant reptiles gone, mammals could occupy bigger and more varied habitats and evolve into the wide array of species we see today. That last extinction event can be seen as a sort of reset for the world's ecosystems, which allowed mammals to diversify, adapt, and eventually produce primates and humans. That is, the end of the dinosaurs made it possible for mammals to prosper. Philosophical reflection. Being a physical property of the space that is occupied by consciousness, biology must remain evolving and growing. Consciousness as a lemma of reality cannot be created out of nothing. Rather, it combines with the biological structure affecting and affected by the physical processes and its experiences. This dynamic interaction lets the consciousness develop, affecting biological changes and the growth of life. If the universe is a place of life that is unfolding for the present and future, this concept of a biology of consciousness suggests that there is a fundamental relationship between consciousness and the physical universe. The physical layer of the universe is one that is apart from consciousness, and it's operating under fundamental properties and rules that create order and balance patterns. The gravitational dance of celestial bodies in solar systems and the delicate interplay of forces that shape our cosmos are governed by natural laws. It is such a structure that is of inherent type that suggests a form of cosmic harmony, where the universe maintains organization patterns of organization through those fundamental forces. The same patterns are seen in the biological layer, where ecosystems and living organisms are following the principles of adaptation and survival. This is a remarkable organization from the quantum level to the cosmic scale, and it raises some profound questions about the nature of existence. In this book, I plan to expand more on the concept of a creator as the story progresses. At a high level, I see it both ways. It is hard for me to think that everything could have happened by chance, when particles and forces are governed by such mathematical precision. That part is the most difficult for me, but I also understand that everything has been through a process of development and transformation. How did gravity's dance produce the cosmic structures that we see? How did black holes get to be such a key to how galaxies form? We see patterns of order in nature and in our objective reality, and therefore presume that there is order in existence. Does this mean that these patterns are the product of natural processes? I remain interested in the deeply beautiful universal laws and their near-perfect balance. In the next section, we will look into the biological dimension in more detail, looking at how organisms operate within a biological structure that has consciousness. This involves looking at how organs, as biological structures, keep a cognitive association with each other, how the heart talks with the liver and the liver with the brain. We will find out how these biological entities are designed and what part they play in hosting consciousness.